If you have ADHD and there's certain foods that you just cannot keep in your house, like they make you feel weak at the knees, like you have got no self-control, you are not weak. But you are probably trying to manage your urges with food, the binge eating, in a way that completely ignores how ADHD works. So if you stick around this video, I'm going to give you some solutions for how it is that you can feel in control with binge foods with an ADHD brain. I'm going to sneeze, sorry. Oh, it's coming. It's going to come just at a really annoying point in this video, isn't it? Right. But if we turn back the clocks, I used to think that I had no self-control around food. You might look at me now as this fitness, PT human. She's always had her shit together. No. I used to think I had no self-control. Like, if I opened a pack of biscuits or a bag of popcorn, it was game over. Like, I would get through that whole sleeve of biscuits. Like, sometimes I would make like 4 cups of tea so that I could dunk every single one in the biscuit. I would have those share bags of popcorn. Sometimes I'd have 2. Cereal, just have the whole box. Chocolate, like spreads, just eating it out of the jar. Anything highly palatable, I would make batches of cookie dough and just binge on it. And every single time I did that, every single time I overate, I binged, it would feel great in the moment. And then I just have the afterthought of like, what is wrong with me? Like, does anyone else do this? Surely, when I see my parents, they're just having a couple of biscuits. Why do I have to feel like I have the whole one? Like, am I broken? Am I greedy? Like, what the hell is actually wrong with me? And maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you can relate to that pretty hard, and it causes a lot of shame, doesn't it? It really does. But what we need to understand is that we aren't greedy. We're not these foodie cookie monsters. It's just simply that we're dopamine seeking. ADHD brains have lower baseline dopamine than the average neurotypical. And if we think about these delicious foods that we tend to binge on, like if you were to list the top 4 or 5 binge foods that you have, they are probably highly processed foods that give you quick dopamine. They're high in sugar, they're high in carbs, they're high in taste and flavor, so they're fast stimulation, they're immediate rewards. They light up those dopamine pathways in our brain. So when someone says, just use moderation, I was like, no shit, Sherlock. It's like trying to tell someone with insomnia to just sleep. It's like, I've only had thought of that, right? So how do we actually fix it? So how do we feel in control? What most neurodivergent brains will do is try and remove it from the house. But this creates a false sense of control, because if it's not there, well, then you can't do it. But eventually you will want it, and then you eat it, and then you feel out of control. So that is not the solution. Out of sight, out of mind might be a temporary fix, but it's not the long-term one. So here is the step-by-step process that you do need to follow. So the first part of this is to remove the shame. The shame that you are lazy, broken, weak, because shame increases our chance of binging. Shame increases our risk of overeating, because ADHD brains already struggle with managing our emotions. And a lot of the time, ADHD brains have a lot lower self-worth. Like, I cannot remember the exact statistic. I probably should have come to it with it, but we've had thousands, if not millions more criticisms growing up undiagnosed. So we have a lot of imposed shame. So when you have a lot of shame around eating behaviours, what happens is you don't just eat it and then crack on with your day. You eat it, then you sit, and there's guilt, and there's rumination, and there's lots of negative thoughts going on in your head, which can make you then want to eat more to get rid of those thoughts. And adds to that shame bucket, adds to that low self-worth bucket. So we want to really just remove the shame. And I hope by me giving you the reasons why we're doing it, you can go, actually, it's quite a normal response. This is just how my brain's responding. It's something I'm working through, and that's okay. So that's your number one step. Like, all of these tools that I'm going to give you, if you still shame yourself, they ain't going to work. Once we've removed the shame, we can actually start to put the practical steps in play. So you know how I said a couple of minutes ago that, just banning it, removing it from the house is not a long-term solution, it's a short-term solution. So at the start, you want to remove all the binge foods from your house, because if it's not there, you can't do it. And what's not going to help the shame cycle is if it's all there and you just constantly go into it, right? Building a little bit of control, even though it's not true self-control at the start, is going to help with that. So if you're not overeating and binging as much at the start, that's going to start to help with that self-efficacy, that self-belief. And what I get my clients to do is to write a list of all of these binge trigger foods and kind of like rate them. So like 10 out of 10 is, I literally feel like I've got no self-control. Like, I am literally like a starved little rabbit. I don't know why I said rabbit. The rabbit's starved, I don't know. Little creature, little starved creature, just inhaling it. Like, you need that film, Matilda, that film, where Bruce is like inhaling the chocolate cake. That's like the vision I always have in my head, right? Those kind of foods. And then ones where you're like, I find it quite hard, but maybe I could put it back. We want to start with those. You don't want to start with the hardest thing, because that's like, it's like going into the gym and trying to do like a deadlift the first time. Like, no, just go and start on an easy machine, right? Go and do something a little bit simpler. If you're playing a video game, start on level 1, not the boss mode, right? It's just going to be setting yourself up to fail. And what you then do is you remove the friction, don't willpower yourself through it, just one at a time. Don't bring it in your house and put it like right in front of you so you can see it. If it's in the fridge, back of the fridge. If it's in the cupboard, back of the cupboard. So it's out of sight, out of mind. There is a big thing with neurodivergent brains, something called object permanence. If you can't see it, it's like it doesn't exist. So do that. Try and buy it in single portions where you can. So not everything is going to be appropriate. So it obviously depends on what the food is. But let's just say, for sake of argument, chocolate is one of yours. Don't go buy like a big share bar or multi-pack. Just try and get one in at a time. If it's biscuits, can you get individual packed ones? Where possible, do it. It's not always doable, but do it. Then when you have it, what you don't want to do is just have a little bit on its own. Someone likes to have a little bit of chocolate every day, yeah. Nobody is satisfied by one square of chocolate, especially when you've got ADHD. No. What you do instead is you have that portion, so a couple of squares of chocolate bar, couple of biscuits, and you pair it. You pair it using my add not subtract method with some sort of protein and fibre where possible to add to it. So it feels much more satisfying and satiating. Because if you've ever tried just to have a little bit of chocolate and then crack on, your brain's like, no, I want more, I want more. Whereas if you've actually added that chocolate with a massive bowl of yogurt and fruit or like a protein bowl of oats, you're going to feel way much more satisfied. So use that. So if it's something savoury, so say yours is like Pringles are great. Like comment your favourite Pringles flavour below because Pringles are elite. Mine are the sour cream ones. They are just sensational. Sensational. I'm sidetracked now thinking about Pringles. You could maybe actually pair that like with like some picky bits. So you could have like hummus and carrot sticks, or even like some like you can make like a little snack bowl with them. So like a little bowl. So you can have like some carrot sticks and cucumber, then maybe like a little bit of salsa dip, and then maybe like some little chicken chunks. So it's much more filling and satiating. And I always tell my clients to have it at a time when they can actually be present. So when you can actually sit, enjoy it, you're not doing it off the cuff, so you can really notice your brain starting to feel more in control with it. And then when you can feel like you can have that in moderation, that might take you a week, it might take you a month. There is no timeline. Everyone's brain's very different. Then you just start to work your way through that list. But also some tools to support yourself while you're doing that. So that's like the actual practical step-by-step strategy, is to make sure your dopamine is regulated and balanced. Because a lot of the time, the reason that we're going to these foods and we've got this craving and the impulse to have loads of it is to just flood our brain with dopamine. A lot of binge eating is dopamine depletion. We're just wanting loads of it. So if you're not managing and regulating your dopamine levels, this is going to be really hard. The more regulated your dopamine is, the easier this is going to be for you. And I cannot emphasize that enough, all right? You make it hard for yourself. Don't regulate your dopamine. But if you want this process to be easy and you to get that food freedom and control ASAP rocky, then yeah, that's what you want to be doing. So other ways that you can be doing that is just making sure that you are getting regular movement. I know I'm a fitness trainer, but movement does produce dopamine. So it's the gym, it's going for walks, it's dancing around your kitchen. It's making sure that you're doing things that bring you joy. So you've got hobbies, you've got creative outlets. It's social connection. It's not being on your own. It's spending time with people. It's making sure that you're sleeping well. It's making sure that you're managing your stress. It's making sure that you're getting enough sunlight, enough daylight. And you're doing things that top up your personal dopamine. Like those are some of the more like basic ones, but everyone's got their own individual things that make them feel good. Their own TV shows and ways of moving and things that they enjoy, their creative outlets and hobbies. And I have actually got a whole guide of ways that you can build like your own dopamine management system. So I'll leave that in the description because I'm so nice and I am the best. Go and get that. But making sure your dopamine's managed. And then a mindset strategy is just reminding yourself that this food is not going anywhere. Removing this like last supper mentality. A lot of ADHD brains, when they're going into a binge, they go into this mindset of like, right, let's just get it out of the house, because once I've got it out of my system, it's gone, and it's this idea of like the last supper, just having it all now. But when you go to have this food, if you just go and remind yourself each time that this food is not going anywhere, it's always going to be here, it removes that sense of urgency, which actually is all linked to dopamine as well, that makes us feel like we need to have loads and loads and loads and loads of it in one go. So that's the step-by-step system. And I hope you now understand that to be in control with these foods, it's not about more willpower. It's not about more discipline. It's about having the right strategies, structure, and regulation in play. Because if you can manage your dopamine, you understand how to work with a neurodivergent brain, and you follow that step-by-step system, you can and will get to a point where you can achieve full food freedom. Now, on the topic of food freedom. I do actually have a whole program designed around this. I wasn't making this video with the intention of even talking about this program, but I just had this thought and I was like, that would actually be really rude of me to not talk about this program, which is a 5-day experience, which takes you from a place of struggling with food to having food freedom with ADHD. Like if you think about the systems and strategies that I've gone through today, more of those to support with actually going deeper on the dopamine regulation, going deeper on the emotional regulation, so managing the emotional eating. What I will do is leave a link below to access the course. If it's of interest, I'm not going to hard sell and tell you, oh, you need to do it now. But if you've watched this and gone, actually, I want more tools like this to really support me, go click the link and I'll see you inside there. But make sure you've commented your favourite Pringles flavour, because that is important too. Have a sensational rest of your day, and I will see you on the next video.